Okay, so what is a BIOS? Now, it kind of depends on whether you have an older computer or a newer computer, because older computers, such as this one right here, have what's called a BIOS. And the newer ones, like this one, have what's called a UEFI. And what that is kind of the middleman messenger between the hardware, the actual machinery, and your OS, whether it's Linux or Windows or Mac or Solaris or whatever. It doesn't matter what OS you have on top of it. The BIOS or the UEFI are actually native to the computer itself, and they're installed not by any sort of OS manufacturer like Microsoft or Apple or, well, there's no Linux company, but Linux. The BIOS or the UEFI is installed by the manufacturer of the computer itself. So this one is an HP Pavilion DV9000, which is a piece of shit, and I'm going to get rid of it soon. I'm just using it for demonstration purposes, just so that you can actually see what a BIOS is and the difference between a BIOS and a UEFI. And this one is a brand new Asus TUF gaming laptop. This one was made in 2007. This one was very recent. And the actual key commands to get into the BIOS, because you get into the BIOS while the computer is starting up. And if you don't, then it's just going to go straight to the OS, whether that's Windows or Linux or whatever. And the key commands to actually get into the BIOS are set by the manufacturer. They're different for every computer, so you're just going to have to look up whatever it is for your specific computer. So like whatever computer it is that you have, let's say that you have a Lenovo whatever, or like a Toshiba, whatever it is. Like you go and you look up, let's say Lenovo 123 ABC, whatever it is, key command BIOS, and you just look through it. And there are actually two different key commands. There's one to actually get into the BIOS or the UEFI, and there's one to do what's called the setup, which is just the immediate order that you actually get into, like what order it is that you boot from, whether it's you're booting from your hard drive, which is where your OS actually is, or from a USB stick, or whatever. So first we're going to turn both of these on, and we're going to see the difference. So on this one, the key command, first I'm going to turn on the computer. The key command to actually get into the BIOS on this one is F10. Again, it could be different for you. It really depends on what key it is that the manufacturer of the computer it is set. So I'm going to turn it on, and then the key command, turn it on. The key command is F10. So just going to wait for it to on. There we go. And that's the BIOS. And you'll notice that it doesn't have any mouse support. Like if I, you see how nothing's happening. This doesn't listen to the mouse. It has no idea what I'm doing right now. But it does listen to the keys. So left and right. So right now I'm going to go to the one step to the right. There you go. I'm going to go right again. I'm going to go right again. And then if I go up and down, see now if I press enter, I can actually go into the boot options. So, and then can go into the boot order. And if you look over here, like if I say F5 and F6, let's say that I want the floppy. Let's say that I want to check first the notebook, hard drive, then the USB hard drive, and then the diskette on the key, and then the floppy. So you see over here, F5 and F6 moves the device up or down. So I would go to F5 and F6. So I'm going to press F5. See how it moved that down. Press F6, and it moves it back up again. Okay, so I can press ESC. See right here it says ESC to exit. I'm going to press ESC. Goes back one step. Press it again. Goes back one step. And now I can continue doing whatever it is that I need to do. And that's the BIOS. Now, on a newer computer, it uses, because the BIOS is essentially dead. Like, there are no computers being made nowadays that use the BIOS. Nowadays, they're all being made with what's called UEFI. And the key command, like the key command for this one was F10. The key command to get into this one is actually F2. And again, you're going to have to look this up for whatever your computer is, because it's set by the manufacturer. And this one, because you remember how on this one there was actually a screen where you had a little bit of time to just press F10 or just press whatever key it is that gets into the BIOS on this one. This doesn't do that. It just goes straight into the OS. So for this, what you're going to have to do is turn it on and then hold the key down while it's starting up. So we're going to turn it on, and then we're going to wait, and now we're just going to press this down while it's starting up. There we go. That's the UEFI. Now you'll notice on here, this actually has mouse support. Okay. Now on these newer ones, sometimes depending on which version of Linux you actually install, there might possibly be an issue with what's called secure boot. And so let's go over here. Where is that? That is boot menu. We're going to go into here, advanced mode. I'm going to say F7. And then I'm going to press the left and right. So we're going to go into advanced boot security. And then I'm going to go down, secure boot. And then I can use the mouse too, because UEFI supports, supports the mouse. It's just the BIOS doesn't, but I personally prefer using the keyboard. It's just my own personal preference. So I can go down, and what this is, okay, you can see that secure boot control. What that means is that, okay, so you remember from the video that where we took a Linux ISO and then we booted it, well, we made it bootable from a USB. Now, depending on which specific Linux distro it is that you're actually using, there might possibly be an issue with the security, the secure boot process. And what a secure boot is that the secure boot, the UEFI has a list of all of the possible MD5 and SHA-256 and SHA-1 and SHA-512 checksums, but it doesn't actually have, it can't have all of them, like every last one, because there are some Linux distros that actually get updated very, very, very often. For example, one of them is Kali, and Kali is what's called a rolling release, and what that means is that updates get downloaded automatically. Whereas there are what are called fixed releases, where if you want to update your system, you're going to have to do it yourself. And if the Linux distro that you're using is a fixed release, then you don't have to worry about this. You can just leave it exactly as it is. But if you're using a Linux distro that's a rolling release, then you're going to want to go in here, so secure boot, and then I'm going to press enter. Okay. Gonna go up, press the up arrow for disabled, and then I'm gonna press enter again, and now it's disabled. And so now if you're gonna install a Linux distro that's on a rolling release, which makes it essentially impossible for the BIOS or the UEFI to keep up with what the checksums would be, it's not gonna try to find it, and then if it doesn't find it, it'll just stall. Like, it'll say that, you know, hey, like, I can't install this because I can't make sure that it's secure. Linux is usually pretty good about being secure, so generally you don't really have to worry about this. And if you're using, again, if you're using a Linux distro that is on a fixed release, you don't even have to worry about this at all. I'm just going to go ahead and change it back. Secure boot is now enabled once again, back to normal. And I'm going to say, go to the right, save and exit. And save changes and exit. Press enter. Press OK. And now, from here, it is actually possible to test Linux without actually installing it. Now, there are some distros of Linux that require you to outright install anyway, install no matter what. And so right here, I have this, and this contains a distro of Linux called CentOS. And if you're a beginner to Linux, you're just starting out, you don't need to worry about what CentOS is. And here I have the USB that we used to make a bootable USB for Ubuntu Budgie. And so the key command that you're going to use to actually get into the boot setup is going to be different from the key command that you use to get into the BIOS or to get into the UEFI. So on this one, I'm going to say save and exit, F10, save and exit. Okay. Save configuration and change exit now. I didn't change anything, so I can just say yes. And I also know that the key command to get into the setup is the escape key. So I'm going to wait for the screen. Here we go. Press ESC. And now it goes into here. Okay? And I'm just going to press down. Okay. USB hard drive. Press enter. It gives you the option of first testing the media. That means testing the actual USB drive to make sure that it's safe. Or just installing CentOS outright. And then, like, CentOS doesn't give you the option of CentOS doesn't give you the option of just testing it out first to see if you like it. As you can see, this computer is a piece of shit. So, like, I'm getting rid of it soon. But I'm just keeping it around just to show you guys, you know, just for demonstration purposes. But yeah, I'm just going to do an emergency shutoff. You hold down the power button for a few seconds. There. Take this out. Now over here, there's actually another one that I really want to show you. I'm going to show you this one afterwards. Just to show you what kind of options you actually have available to you. Okay, so now we're going to do, where is it? There it is. Okay, so press restart. And now the key to get into the boot setup for this computer is actually also escape. It's the same as with my HP Pavilion. It's just the difference is that it doesn't go into that initial screen at the beginning, so you just have to hold it down. And you see here, you press the up and down. I mean, you can use the mouse, but I just, again, personal preference, I like using the keyboard. So you're going to want to go into this top one. Don't worry about what partitions are. We'll go over that in a much, much future video. Okay, and it gives you the option. See that? Try Ubuntu Budgie without installing. I hope you were able to see that. And so now it's going to go do its thing. And now what it's going to do is it's checking to make... Let me focus this. Checking disk. Oh, yeah. So it's checking just to make sure that the entire file order is right. So this is going to take a while. So I think what I might do is just pause the recording so that you don't have to watch this entire process. So, be back in a moment. And we're back. So now, this is Ubuntu Budgie. So now we now have Ubuntu Budgie running in RAM, and it hasn't touched the hard drive at all. So you can do this, you know, just to just kind of test it out, see if you like it. And this is not like a pretend sort of imaginary representation of Ubuntu Budgie. This is Ubuntu Budgie running in your RAM. And it already comes with all of the features. You see it comes with, you know, and this is going to be the first one. It's going to ask you, like, hey, do you want to install now? I'm just going to close this. You know, it already comes with Bluetooth support. Let me focus in. Yeah, Bluetooth settings. It comes with Bluetooth. Battery percentage. It already has Wi-Fi connectivity support. I'm going to go over here. Let's say files. There we go. And this is Linux. I mean, this is running. You see, look, free space, 3.9, basically 4 gigabytes. That's because it's running directly off of the USB. And so, if you do anything that you, like, let's say you download something here, it's not actually going to be saved. Let's get this info. There we go. It's not actually going to be saved to your hard drive. Okay? I mean, it might save to your RAM, and then when you turn it off, it'll disappear. Or it might save to your USB, and maybe you can use it next time. And this already has, like, all of the, you know, all of the features of Linux. Now, this is the Budgie desktop. Welcome to SUD. This is the Software Center. I'm not actually connected to Wi-Fi right now, so it's not going to be able to do anything. But you can see that this is a fully functional Linux. I don't want to call it installation. So, like, you look up here. Let's say that, like, that beginning screen's like, hey, do you want to install Budgie? And I closed it. Let's say later on I decide, oh yeah, I like this, and I want to install it. You just, you know, you press enter. I'm not going to press enter because I don't want to install it just yet. But the option is always there. And so now we're going to close, lock, suspend, shut down. Okay. I'm sure you want to end your session, shut down. And now, then it's going to tell you remove the media and then press enter. Because right now it's in the process of shutting down. Okay, yeah, please remove the installation media, then press enter. That's this. And so what I'm going to do. Now we're not actually. I'm gonna go ahead and press enter. Now, we're not actually going to install this, but it's just something that I want to show you. It's a different Linux distro called Fedora. So we're going to go ahead and stick this in. Go through the same process. Hold down escape. We're not actually going to use Fedora for this course. I just really want to show you what Fedora actually is, because it's pretty cool. Start Fedora Workstation. And it's going to go do its thing exactly like it did with Ubuntu Budgie. And I think that I might, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to check the file system, make sure everything is in order exactly as it's supposed to be. And I think I'll pause the recording again, and we'll come back once this is passed and done, so that you don't have to watch this whole thing. And there we go. Here's Fedora. And you notice how it gives you the option. So they say install the hard drive or try Fedora. We're just going to say try Fedora. You can choose install the hard drive in the activities overview at any time later. And the activities overview is up here. There's Firefox. This is the calendar. Rhythmbox, that's a music player. Photos. Files, and then down here that's install the hard drive. So anytime you decide, hey, I really like this and I would like to keep it, it's available for you. And so up here again we have full Wi-Fi capability. Okay, we have full Bluetooth support. Settings, you can go into settings. Everything is available. Okay, so that is what a BIOS is. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Power off, log out. Power off. Power off. And there we go. So, that is the difference between a BIOS and a UEFI. That's what a BIOS or a UEFI is for. And that is how you actually install Linux, or how you test Linux just to see if you like it, and then make the decision as to whether you want to install it or not. And so in the next video, we're going to go over actually installing Ubuntu Budgie, and then we're going to use it. And I'll also cover how to install Xubuntu, which is what I use, and Kubuntu, which is Ubuntu with the KDE desktop. All of these are Ubuntu. Xubuntu, Kubuntu, Ubuntu Budgie, Ubuntu Mate. These are all Ubuntu. They're the same thing. It's just that they have different desktops on top. Or, as the saying goes, Ubuntu with a different coat of paint. So, now that we know what all this stuff is, let's practice using it. See you in the next video.